And as you were going into that, I was getting a lot of downloads and telepathic messages from Mount Fuji and like a bunch of things there. Wow. Yeah. Space. I would agree with that. I feel I was as I was tuning into it, I was like, oh wow, yeah. Uh, so Fuji seems to be a place that can, if it wanted to, teleport you anywhere in the universe. It rarely does, though, especially during this time and the quarantine of the planet and humans. So you're lucky if you get anywhere around the planet. But also, then that goes into the mountain volcano itself and its power and technology, which goes definitely into space travel and space technology and dimensionality, especially into the teaching of space fractal connections between everything, like every star, like even that explosion, it was all one. And like there, so like, what if there was no space and time, and it would be like all like a compressed oneness, and being able to shift your perspective back and forth, up and down, and throughout it as if it's all in one place.
Hmm.
um, Breaking past the barriers and the buffering systems that keep us safe can be dangerous. Absolutely, like you're going into with the other version of yourself. I have similar experiences. About 60% of the people that engage in teleportation or portaling are likely going to die. Unfortunate statistic, but you know, it's really it is dangerous, and you need the buffering systems and the lineage protector of what has worked, and to not go into dirty traveling that has a odds of filleting you or whatever. Like I had a few lives where I merged with space time, and it's incredibly traumatizing, and fractured that part of me into millions of pieces, and then I have to like repower myself up many generations later to the point where I can remerge them together, and then even I mean, even that though has a benefit. Like once you're, because any trauma, any fracture, like going into the concepts of alters and other things, that can stimulate superpowers and evolution. So it's like the make or break moment. Even in the break, it's a standing wave of trauma that um, reverberates through time, telling us to look back at it, whether it be like in a thing anchored in a thing that is representation of the wound again, or just coming out of nowhere like a bunch of weird sadness that or pain or whatever, as like, why am I experiencing this? What? And then us being able to transmute into our pain into power or magic or whatever, and empower our life this time and gain all this awareness and knowingness and resilience to it ever happening again. uh but like if you die from a portal, any type of way you die, if you die by fire, your spirit merges with the fire and you go through the school of it, and then you get a huge empowerment for the next life. So I'm not saying you should just seek this out, of course, but if you end up dying by the ocean, you merge with that, all the same. So it like adds to life. So you can go back to all those lives and see all the death count, and then give yourself healing and wholeness, because within the puzzle of all those pieces, once it's complete, it makes such a beautiful picture.
True. Um, one of the things I'd like to give away without it actually being a teaching, but more of a cosmic challenge. 2 years ago in Shasta, I learned that the constellations, and I've said this to numerous people, I might even said this to Sean at some point when we were on the mountain around a campfire. But I say this as a jolt, a jolt, a triggering of memory. The constellations that we see in the sky are actually constellations that are directly connected to our ancestral constellational lineage. There's an ancestral lineage, and then there's a celestial lineage. There's a human tree of life, and then there's an angelic tree of life. But within that, there's an even deeper mystery that I learned from a time frame when we were within the mystery schools of Delphi and Pythagorean philosophy, Pythagorean theory. The Pythagoreans were a race of beings. It wasn't just a science, it was a specific race of beings. A good analogy is Saint Francis. Well, Saint Francis created a Franciscan order. So there was a similar order of Pythagoreans, male and female. History may only get the patriarchal masculine sense, but there was a feminine aspect to it as well. Within that remembrance was Galileo. Galileo showed me different forms of telescopic instrumentation, most in which were eventually confiscated and hidden within the Vatican and other museums. Museums may be beautiful and all on the outside, but on the inside, they're actually like little secret prisons for different artifacts and different technologies. Lots of soul pieces and soul fragments for anybody on a divinity path or an awakening path can actually retrieve your soul pieces just by visiting a local museum. You'd be surprised. The thing that I learned the most was how do you grid your telescopic instrumentation to include something as simple as how you grid your smartphone for capturing supernatural phenomenon. There are some people I know that no matter what kind of picture they take on their phone, they will capture some kind of mystical emanation. Taking that to a step higher, any of you who are astronomers, an astronomer enthusiast in any way, and you actually have a telescope, or maybe you use your smartphone to see the constellations in the sky, there's ways to grid your phone in a crystalline and energetic etheric dynamic that will open up the portals in the night sky, open those same portals in your own being, pinpointing whichever constellation that is to an exact location that is a meridian within your own body. The one I have the most experience with, and you only need to choose one, is Ursa Major and Ursa Minor, and then Pleiades. There's a fractal there. Pleiades looks like the Little Dipper or a Tiny Dipper. Ursa Minor looks like an even bigger teapot or bucket or ladle of some sort, and then the Big Dipper. You have the Big Bear, the Little Bear, and then the origin, which is Pleiades. Through different dynamics, like the energy of a wand, doesn't matter if the wand is a crystal, or if the wand is a stick, or if the wand is actually a crystalline wand, or a staff, or something you pick up in the forest on your hike that is a beaming energy, you can literally, through intention, through breath, through prana, through tone, through mantra, or just through sheer silence, but intention is key, open up that portal in the night sky. You could do the same thing with the sun in the daytime, but not necessarily recommended because there's too many broader dynamics involved. Sunset and sunrise is a good time to do that with the sun, and sometimes high noon, because at high noon or at midnight, you can tap into a time that's known as the 13th hour. The 13th hour is the hour of 0 point, the hour of unlimited creation. Long story short, you open up that portal, and let's say the portal is the Big Dipper. You will, and you beam the energy to each star, an intention, and you beam it in nonlinear time. The star is still alive. Third dimensional science says the star is dead and long and gone because of millions of light years of time have gone by. Don't believe that for 1 second. The star in cosmic time is still alive. You beam your own starlight essence, your own Merkabah star tetrahedral energy to the star constellation, you will get a response. For me, physically, literally, in the sky, flashes of light. It wasn't lightning. It could easily have been heat lightning. No, flashes of light. And then from the center of the Big Dipper came these little flying nebula kind of spacecraft. Or even if they were star celestial beings, something happened every single time. And I didn't believe it the first few times. And I kept repeating the same theoretical experiment. The experiment was proven to be true. So no matter what the constellation is and how you beam the energy, the more the response will be. And the same thing is for telescopes. Now, as a kid, a long time ago, I had a telescope. But something happened. And I'll just call it interference with the cabal. They did not want me to remember. But I kept pursuing it anyway. And the telescope, what I was about to do as a 12-year-old kid or younger, I was literally about to get any stone or crystal that I had, particularly quartz points, to literally glue them on the telescope right at the point where it's beaming up to the sky, and to program the crystal through intention to open up the crystalline grid and to start communicating with star beings. Well, in that past parallel probable reality, I might have been successful, but not in a solidified sense. In this reality, anybody who hears this, who's an astronomer, an astrologer, or some kind of star seed, will benefit from knowing that no matter what your instrumentation is, from a smartphone to a digital camera, to an even bigger, more professional camera, to a telescope, to your binoculars. Even binoculars are very easy to come by, depending on the scale, the size, the cost. You can grid those binoculars through different crystalline dynamics, and you will get a whole world, higher dimensional world. The firmament will open in the night sky, and you will see things that you can't necessarily imagine unless you have already made contact before with your celestial guardians and guides. The same thing could be done as a microscope. So microscopes of different scales and sizes. If you grid that microscope with different types of crystals and you beam down on a microscopic level, you will develop a form of microscopic healing or microscopic investigation that will unleash the microcosm, the cellular atomic energy of things. And I give this away as a piece of star wisdom and knowledge, because in this life, even in this concurrent reality, I still have difficulty obtaining that telescope or obtaining that microscope or obtaining the professional camera or binoculars, just so I can experiment to see if that cosmic seeing will actually work. But through the practice of even just the wand or your own fingertip to the night sky, and knowing that at least a few different constellations, you will have one of your first star portal openings, and it will open in a way that you can handle and adjust to without losing yourself completely. And if you do that enough in the night sky, you will be greeted by your star family. And if you do that enough with your star family, you will then be greeted to be a part of the Galactic Council, because then they can trust you as an emissary to communicate on behalf of Earth and humanity and the species, and then be on that Galactic Star League or Council, because they can trust you to do these different things in a very peaceful, non-violent sense. The more curious and exploratory you are in pure enjoyment, the more they can approach you. But if you're there to conquer and try to take over, or whatever the ego agenda might be, it may work, but it usually backfires. The more pure enjoyment you have with it, and childlike awe, wonder, and innocence, the more the grid will open up, and you will be taught so many different things that our ancient ancestors used to do, even the Aboriginal used to do, just through the pure observation of the stars alone.
Very well spoken. So yeah, so much I can grab out of that in subject, like usual. So okay. Current portal. Oh yeah, portal with stars. So yeah, I also would confirm that, and those that want to like expand their knowingness and back into their celestial knowledge and micro macro, and see the star maps within and as above so below in the body and the reflections, and learn those aspects of their universe as they go deeper. I recommend people start a trade commerce, longitudinal wave, instantaneous, faster than light frequency emission from the heart in love that offers them something that they want with your higher self in exchange for like knowledge and teaching, and being able to go through their mystery school and the solar and star mystery schools of the past would go into. My favorite way, like to like go through these mystery schools super fast, so like that starlight as it like reaches the eye of the code, the blueprint of everything it's been a part of in the library within. Integrating that deeply in breath work, meditation. I also learned this Kundalini method, yoga method, Kriya, where you're kind of like up where your solar plexus is facing the sky. It's like called a navel power Kriya. And you just lay on the ground, and you lift your arms up so they're off the ground, and your head so that there's tension. And also you lift your feet up. And so you have it a little off the ground, and you just fire breath over and over again. And after a while, the feet start vibrating, the hands start vibrating, and you wanting to bring a whole bunch of energy in. And you're like downloading the record of the star into the solar plexus and empowering your own star and star network, and fractally going down. And it's wonderful. It powers the crap out of me. It gives me so much energy. I love it. I've also, when I went to Shasta, we started singing to the stars, and all these UFOs started showing up, and beams of light that and shooting stars and flashes from the stars. And then we started. I started trying to play the stars in like a energetic ping pong kind of fashion to see if I could because I was getting the intuition that it was like a advanced keyboard of music that flows and reacts, and there's like combinations with this in like locks and keys and methodologies in combinations of the stars and the timing and the order of interaction, which opens up even more secrets. Let's see, celestial lineage is a very interesting concept. I don't really hear many people talking about that, but definitely for sure in the
I'll give a
Sparks
good reference point with that, and I only recently learned this by watching the Harry Potter movies. Especially when Harry Potter meets his uncle. There are, in the background, you will see that his uncle is connected to the Arcturus Centurion lineage. It's there as the wallpaper in the background. It's their celestial Magi lineage. They don't really go into any detail about it in the movie. They just kind of leave it there in the background for viewers to see. Whoa, there's the family tree. It's a part of his wallpaper on the wall. And there's Arcturus. And there's Alpha Centauri. And there's, I think even at some point I saw Orion. And a few others are mentioned. These are lineages that predate the
Sirius
dawn
Black
of time. So that's a celestial lineage. And that was just a further confirmation by seeing that in a Harry Potter movie, which talks about magic all the time, but they don't really go into any detail how that's a celestial lineage. They just say that you're born with the magic and it's in your blood and it's in your soul and that's it. But it's really a celestial lineage that you can trace back.
Ooh, and that star power. And that is, the solar plexus is where the magic and the force and all these other powers we have deep within emanate from, besides the heart. But yeah, so that's deep. Look, remembering the Harry Potter, yeah, shit, and that
it's in there.
Celestial magic.
Yeah.
I would say definitely to also the angelic tree of life. My name for is like the tree of light, and also like interacts macroly in like a network of the heaven realms, similar to the hell realms in the tree of death, like overlay also with our body, in like a system of categorization and unfoldment for the internal mystery schools. I love that you went into the museum prison concept. Not really, barely anyone knows that, and I do track a lot of parts back to those, and also energy harvesting system of like stolen parts from people, and a lot of the power, the circuit board and domination control gets it from. I found the best solution for these is to flip the inverted geometry energetically of the sacred geometry building from a cube of compression and imprisonment to an octahedron mitter. And it takes a bit more than it would just like wanting it to happen, and it also takes real energy. People know what that is, if of what it takes to make something real. And then the unity agreement of the energetic authority involved, such as the items and the whole, all of them want to be free. So a lot of them you'll get to agree, but then there's the prison guards and the things around that you have to like bring to wholeness and remembrance of who they are, and to then in that moment break off from their dominators. Thank you for going into all that. How did you get into all this, by the way? What was your like awakening process?
let's pause for a second. Okay. I really think the awakening started for me. I was born into it, and how that evolved. When I say I was born into it, I think that whichever version of myself, including this one, not only sent healing back to myself in the womb, but also through multiple past lives, to a fellow friend, acquaintance, and the assistance of Debbie Smart, and other just meditative past life regressions. So there's a key element of knowing and how to send your healing energy, intentional energy backwards in time. You got to be very careful with that. Really, at the turn of the millennia, from 1999, 2000, 2001 was when I, without a shadow of doubt, knew something was happening. I was different. I was sensitive more than most people, both emotionally sensitive and also psychically, empathically sensitive. One of the greatest gifts that I had to learn was the gift of empathy, which then learned into the other dynamics of telepathy. So from the year 2000 into 2001, which was a huge awakening for me, and I'm sure many others, including witnessing and seeing 9/11 happen in New York City. I was in New Jersey. Some of my family and a good amount of my schoolmates' family were actually in New York City at the time. That was also a huge, like, oh my God, chaotic moment, but also epiphany, aha moment that, okay, something is happening. It's happening on multiple levels. And then that's when I started to get the concept of multiple timelines and different parallel versions of myself and other people. It was right at the epicenter of 9/11. At some point, I can't really give a specific date because it could happen throughout multiple points in time. The infamous, notorious secret space program got involved with me as a child. In the last few weeks and months, the biggest element for me, and I recommend it for everybody, is inner child healing. Whatever kind of loving, compassionate energy and corrective light body dynamics you can do for your actual childlike self in the past to help your adult self in the now to kind of recuperate and rehabilitate from whatever happened to you as a child. Through the cabal, through the Illuminati, through a bad parent or a bad uncle, or you're an orphan, or you don't think that your mom and dad is your mom and dad, whatever the issue is, you have full conscience and contrast control to help heal, forgive, and move on from that. But at some point, the secret space program got involved. And when I say get involved, I do mean along the same lines of the whistleblowers like Emery Smith, Corey Good, James Gilliland at ECETI Ranch. And what I mean along the same lines, I mean, I had multiple times where I went into the future, or I went into the distant past, and about 10, 20 years went by, or even if it was just a year, still a large chunk of time would go by. I would always be returned back through a time dilation field to the exact moment I was either abducted, taken, or chose to go I don't know which is which, abducted, taken, or chose, because there's so many different factions, mystery schools, black ops were involved, that they were just after, they were literally after me and a numerous amount of other children, including my own sister, who I don't even know if she really existed or not. Sounds crazy. But she had above IQ mental intelligence. I had above IQ in other areas that they were able to test and dissect and kind of figure out that I had ESP and other things like that. They literally, when I say they, I do mean the cabal, but at what level, I can't say all of them are evil or bad, because there's a side of it that's called the white hats. They eventually stepped in. So even if I remember during the time period of the 1980s to the 1990s that XYZ happened with the bad cabal, at some point the white hats, they stepped in, these time cops, I'll call them, these guardians stepped in and completely rectified and healed all of the issues that happened. So whatever I remember may not be the same thing that eventually turned into the reality we're in today. But as a kid, and I mentioned this in my martial arts class the other day at Aikido, because we were talking about current events like COVID-19 and things like that. Sometime when I was around, I don't know, 10, 11, 12, my future self did go back in time. And he he forewarned me of different time periods, but particularly the year 2020. And one of the things he specifically said, and I'm not talking about the death and the doom and gloom and the cataclysmic energy. He gave me an emphasis on that. But one of the things he specifically said was that this would be the end of capitalism. This would be the end of unhealthy competition, including professional sports. And I remember my childlike self saying, well, even the Olympics? And he's like, yes, even the Olympics, this would be the end of the gods and goddesses fighting over humanity through competitive sports, through professional sports. That was a mind-blowing thing for him to say. Sure enough, within the last year, those different interpersonal prophecies did come true. So there wasn't a specific time period where I awakened. It was just a matter of different, I'll call them leaps of time, quantum leaps of remembrance, that at different points in time, especially through travels, physical travels, going to physical sacred sites or cities, calling back soul pieces and memories, and each of those moments were different types of ascension. So you think of like ascending on a mountain, climbing the mountain peak, like what I did in Mount Fuji. Same thing I'm about to do and have been working up to do in Mount Shasta. These are different ascension time periods, and they happen at different epochs. The coolest thing I remember about the whole thing as a kid, and this will help to heal and amend the heart of a lot of people, was I'm all alone. There is nobody like me. I'm the only one. I thought that for 10 years or longer, ever since I was about 8 to about maybe 28. And then I realized, wow, there are other people similar, like me, in their own unique way. They're living their own hero's journey. They are their own Messiah, or their own chosen one, so to speak. And there is a saying that everybody is called into action or service, but few are chosen. And the few that are chosen, you have a choice between choosing the polarity of dark versus light, the whole versus thing, or choosing the unity of light and the greater light spectrums of peacefulness that can lead you into a reality, into a universe of your own life and your own lifespan in this own time period where there is no enemy. So literally there are different points in time where the awakening occurred. And even just recently in the last few weeks, different memories resurface of how different things happened. And knowing that no matter how hard they tried to suppress me as a kid, there were different guardians and guides that actually helped correct the quantum, I'll call them the quantum schisms. So even if they were trying to suppress my DNA and my extrasensory perception, there was always this guardian force, this guardian race of beings that were many steps ahead to correct and counteract the negative alien agenda or the negative mutation of the DNA back into holistic wellness, healing, and health, which eventually led into holistic wealth that is health and vice versa. So there's a large chunk of stories of past lives involved. Debbie Smart is aware of them. A few other close friends are aware of them. Different leaders, I'll call them teachers of different mystery schools at some point were aware of them, like Dragula Melchizedek, and other teachers that I'm going to meet this year, or friends or allies like James Gilliland and Mount Adams and the East City Ranch. I know I'm going to meet him this year. There are different things that are like self-prophesized that are about to happen, about to occur. Even this week being the summer solstice, there's a pretty unique alignment that's going to happen for every different soul group in a ceremonial sense that's going to happen on a planetary level. And there's going to be obvious alignments happening here in Shasta. And one in particular with me and other soul family at the huge, I'll call it Stargate or Medicine Wheel by Black Butte. There's going to be that alignment that is going to, what I feel, at a very simple sense, correct a lot of the geothermal stress and what some of us have called weather control through the negative alien agenda is going to be corrected back into holistic weatherization, ecological harmonization of California, the Northwest, and throughout the intercontinental Americas. And I say North America, Central, and South America. The Americas are going to have a huge upgrade. And I was given a key piece in how to do this type of gridding. There's support, there's a team. I wouldn't be able to do it completely by myself. Even if I do some of the alchemy on my own, there's always a support network and a team of non-physical guardians and very physical soul family people, all involved to help shift humanity during the summer solstice into more of a luminarian, lightarian, peacetarian consciousness that will help create true divine justice. When I say divine justice, I don't mean our third dimensional judicial system. I mean the divine justice that is cosmic universal law, trickling on down in the third dimensional streams, and the World Court, the World Bank, United Nations, capitals of the states, capitals of the countries in the world will have a massive upgrade. I won't say that everybody's going to go through an ascension. Some people might literally go through an actual death, but even a death is some form of renewal. But everyone on some level or another, all 7, 8+ billion people, especially in first world countries, are going to have a shift of compassionate awakening. And what we once thought to be prejudicial injustice, just through the sheer acts of so many people doing so many ceremonies in the light and peace around the solstice, will bring about a more universal abundance for humanity. And essentially technology, zero point energy, is a part of that universal abundance that will bring about a cleansing, a purification, a renewal for all humanity. And no matter where you are on the planet, be that Mount Shasta or New York City or Seattle or in the middle of Mexico, no matter where you are, you have the ability to create your own peaceful pillar of light and be a part of that planetary shifting network of sovereignly awakening, sovereignly empowered beings. So that's like a pretty big nutshell of how I came to awakening. But the biggest epiphany is how my past self from my future self told my past self about the year 2020, and then here we are, and it's happening. It's a little scary, mind-blowing, but what makes it easier to cope is the disciplines of yoga, martial arts, breath work, plant medicine, different ways of self, internal discipline, internal and external alchemy is what assists with that, including gridding your space, your physical space. And each of these things are all teachable. They are all able to be taught at different varying levels and degrees. And the biggest thing is, in my heart, is to be able to be the instructor of these newly awakened people that are going from spiritual kindergarten to spiritual masterhood. So there's a huge leap, quantum leap, that is always happening, but it's on the verge of happening even bigger this year more than any other year prior. And it's just going to keep accelerating and exponentially multiplying for the better for humanity. And even the elite, which is a really touchy subject. One thing I learned about the elite and the 1%, and this is going to sound funny, but a little weird. A lot of the different versions of yourself, at least I could speak for myself, one version of me, and there's different versions of different people that actually share a soul fragment with one of the elite, at least one. And I've met a handful of people that on the third dimensional plane, okay, there's Sean Bond, or there's, Eric Adamo, or whomever it is. A fraction of your soul within the oneness actually shares a higher self connection with one of those elite. Who that person is usually a mystery and kept in a top secret manner for a reason. So that power or powers that be can't fully corrupt the soul matrix of the whole planet and the whole galaxy. So next time anybody wants to blame the elite for X, Y, and Z, there's an aspect of you that is a part of them. They too want the healing or the forgiveness, but they're actually counting on us, what might seem lower than them in the middle plane, in the middle earth, to help correct those schisms. So that's something important to know too. Within this chess board or chess game of existence, and you get to become not only a player, but in some cases, or a lot of cases, you can actually become the referee of the entire game as you align with the entire guardian force of beings. It's really neat if you can see through the eyes that Sean sees, or see through the eyes that I'm seeing, or the eyes that your heart and higher mind is seeing, you'll see the different third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, all the way up to the 12th at the least, different dynamics of how this so-called game of life is being played out, including the tree of life, which is a tree of light, and making sure that it's the non-dualistic tree of light. or the flower of life. You want it to be the non-dualistic flower of life, so there's no negative polarity. And in those different eternal life quotients or eternal light quotients, you can either choose to transcend the whole game or occasionally play the game to help offset, I'll call it the cataclysmic apocalyptic agenda. And if you offset it enough, your whole local community of elementals, humans, and animals alike will thank you in so many ways, and you'll know through faith, through knowing, and sometimes through direct proof that you are on your ascension path and you are awakening. It just happens in different processes and stages. And in the distant future, when we look back at this, we will be able to say to ourselves in the now, in 2020, you did it.
I think you froze. You there? Okay. Well, not sure. Okay, well, uh, thank you. Maybe we can get him back on. So yeah, we're back. Yay. Sorry about the interruption. I'm not sure what happened. Yeah, and that was such a great speech, and sorry it cut out, but maybe we can continue it on another show and go more into these different topics, the SSP, the changes of event. I also agree with the timeline editor perspective of to make a perfect outcome in the events transpiring and this being a huge pivotal moment. I would definitely agree with a lot of that. Interested to ask you later what's going on in your world that you're perceiving. Cool that you touched on core healings. People work on their heart walls and the walls that come up. Um, can you, for those that want to get a hold of you, plug your information and how they can reach you? You have a website?
This is important to know for sure. The easiest way to get a hold of me at the moment is through Facebook. I've learned that Facebook offers different ways of creating different groups that actually will help, different people that especially want to learn more about gridding or gridding dynamics, which is a very multidimensional subject, as you all can see. So the easiest way to also get a hold of me is through my email, which is Phoenix and Eagle 888@gmail.com. That's PHOENIX, the letter N, Eagle, EAGLE, 888 at Gmail. And if anyone who reaches me or contacts me through Facebook, Sean is permitted to put a Facebook link of my Facebook as well as my email, is really the easiest way. I've learned over the years that websites may or may not generate an audience just as much as Facebook or Instagram might. So only thing I ask, if you do reach out to me, what I am offering, and I actually thought about this about a week or two ago, I am offering a free 30-minute introductory reading or diagnostic of your particular questions or issues involved. What I'd like to focus on more than just reading the Akashic records for your soul and divine blueprint is literally helping out the individual to diagnose their environmental well-being within their own house, within their vehicle or their car. These things I've directly experienced. There's so many dynamics like feng shui and vastu and what I eventually learned to call molecular feng shui, because there's a molecular component to these celestial energies, these gridding energies. So instead of it being a reading like through oracle cards or through a fortune teller telling your future, trying to heal or correct the past, or soul retrieval, the easiest, most practical thing I can teach anybody within their own physical environment is how to grid their own home. And an introductory, 30-minute introductory session like that can be something as simple as, how do you shift your bedroom to be more uplifting, to be more awakened into lucid, conscious, dreamtime awareness. And through the lucid, conscious, dreamtime awareness, the external environment that you awaken into can be that much easier to navigate and circumvent or circumpolar, like in an omni-spherical way, in a 360-degree way. So I am offering a free 30-minute introductory sessions. I've done many sessions for many people over the last few years, and everybody has said that I've been so accurate in describing either past events, current events, or probable future events that they can't believe how I did it. And really, it's just a matter through patterning, the grid, the Akashic records. But even that is also an ability through sessions that I'm willing to give and share. And after those 30 minutes, of course, we can schedule more sessions. And it's something I'm ready and willing to bring about for anybody who comes along. And usually only key people come. And it could be a handful of 5 to 10 people, and that's enough. Because those 5 to 10 people are enough to shift another 5 to 10 more. And before you know it, hundreds of different people have been shifted through the gridding interplanetary unity consciousness of things. So it's my Facebook profile and my email, and from there we can schedule a time to do either Skype or a phone call session, and regardless of the question, so as long as it's about the environmental conditions that you're living in, especially now with everybody having to stay indoors a little bit more, you're probably wanting to learn how to enhance and improve and upgrade your environment. And there are hundreds of things that I know through confidence that can enhance, improve, and upgrade your everyday environment, from your small apartment to your big house to your car, no matter what it is, to your yard, through landscaping, to gardening. It's there on a practical level, as well as a fifth dimensional, multidimensional, cosmic level. And I'm there for anybody who messages me and contacts me. I'm even there for trade as well. So if someone doesn't, after the first 30 minutes, you feel like you want more time, I'm there as a healing trade service as well. And I'm sure the majority of the people that may come across with me will want to trade if they don't want to exchange monetary value. A trade is also equally valuable in this day and age with where we're going in this new, Aquarian time period. So, yeah, feel free to message me, and don't incessantly text message me. I don't respond to that very well, but I will respond to an email, a simple message, and a time to schedule, and we can make it happen as a trade, introductory 30 minutes, and or monetary currency, and the value of that session will last you a lifetime.
Wonderful. Yay. Yeah, and very rare Akashic record granting. So appreciate you existing into that dimensionality of learning and bringing it to the world. Need world needs more. And yeah, and I can attest that you're very talented in your abilities, and I appreciate what you do for the planet, micro, macro, and bring people's parts back to themselves that you learn through healing yourself and the ones around you.
The last thing I'd like to also bring about as an offering, any of you who haven't been to Shasta or want to go to Shasta, I can be there for you as well, like a tour guide. And that is variable between trading or monetary currency and value. When I mean by tour guide, there are several key locations around this mountain in Mount Shasta, California, that I can personally guide you to and through that will help bring about a greater shift in your evolution and awakening. So that's something that also can be arranged as a physical in-person meeting that will completely shift your perspective of multidimensional reality. So physically traveling to Shasta and having a tour guide is key too. And I'm there for those who want that and need that. And we can discuss things further about how that will look.
Beautiful. Yes, please get a hold of him at Big Puzzle Completer. Also, I noticed you have a PayPal if you're anyone wants to donate. It says Peaceful Prosperity 88, right? Okay. And those that want to get a hold of me, same, you can do donate, and I'm at psionicleague.com and Psionic League YouTube, and I'm also on Facebook if you want to reach me. I got a scheduler. I got a flood of stuff, so it's hard to get hold of you, but be persistent, and you will get a hold of me.
Yeah, I learned with Sean, and same thing with me. Time, third dimensional time is not the same for us. So if you're persistent, you will eventually get a hold of us. Because it was actually kind of hard for Sean and I to get a hold of each other. That's another thing. Be persistent, and you'll eventually get a hold of us.
Exactly. And if you want to seek teachers as us to help you through your awakening path, please provide the efforts, and you will be rewarded. And if you want to join the league, go on that. And what do you plan for the future? I am doing a Mandela Effect, International Mandela Effect Conference event that will be streaming reality warping, how to quantum jump for free. So tune into that, everyone. What will you be doing in the upcoming days and weeks and months?
I think the upcoming days and weeks, I will literally be creating stone grids and crystal grids, especially a huge megalithic grid that I call a stone hedge of Mount Shasta.
Really?
I have done this before where I've live streamed or pre-recorded the different things that have happened there. And I will also be communicating with the different galactic councils, including my own future self, who's definitely fully come online, that will, I think, from the looks of this, the way the summer is going, turn into tours around Mount Shasta, physical trips, tours that people can take to Ascension Rock or Dead Falls Lake or the Stone Grid Medicine Wheel. And these tours can be arranged and scheduled for anybody who's passing through the area or wanting to travel to the area. And don't be afraid of social distancing, because in nature, everything is one and unified and connected. And that is something that I can see is benefiting everybody, these tours around these different portaling sacred sites within the mountain itself. That's something that I will start to broadcast at the eve of the solstice, which is in a couple days. and then all throughout the summer. And as people catch word with that, you'll see how important and soulfully crucial it is to have a pilgrimage to a place like Mount Shasta. And that pilgrimage will set your soul up for a huge, huge ascension in different ways, because it's different for everybody. So anticipate that, and don't hesitate to arrange a time to meet in Shasta for these guided tours that I've guided direct soul family and friends, and I will continue to guide even people that may seem to be strangers or not strangers, because at the soul level, we all are familiar with one another.
Right. There's no social distancing when there is no space or time. As we come together in that collapse, and like the teachers of Mount Shasta and other mountains like Mount Fuji, the dragon of space in Mount Fuji, and all the amazing teachers in Shasta, they will be there for you if you call if you need help. Thank you everyone for tuning in to this amazing expansive show. Let us know in the comments if you'd like to see more, and we'll have Eric on again. Thank you all, and thank you, Eric. I love you. Have a wonderful, crazy unveiling of truth 2020 vision.
Yes, 2020 vision. Here we go. Yep.
Thank you for watching this video. If you'd like to see more content like this, please show your love and subscribe to this channel for more content. Click that like button and share this video. The more people I see watching, the more I know what content people like. The more motivation I have to film and create. Mostly I'm doing this by myself, so the extra little push will definitely get me into action. And blast that notification bell to get the latest alerts on release. Comment your questions and possible future show ideas, what you think, below. I may end up answering those questions in the next show. Links are in the description if you want to contact me for more info, possible consultations, distant healing, massage, DNA programming, past life readings, and much, much more, as well as the services demonstrated in this video. Go to the psionicleague.com if you are interested in joining the league. Love you all so very much. Thank you for all your support.